Hello, everyone. Hello, Irene. How are you tonight? Hello, everyone. I thought it would be fun to do a little live stream while I'm sitting here working on cutting out more fabric. I finished my last batch of masks that I was working on, and so I'm starting a new one. I like to do mine kind of assembly line style, where I cut out all the pieces in one day, and then I sew all of the next step and the next step, and then add the ties all in one day. I find it more efficient that way, and so that's what I'm starting today. Is I washed up a ton of fabric, and so I'm going to start cutting into it to make masks. And for a quick update for you all, I have made 381 masks so far in the past, I believe it's 22 or 23 days. And my friend and I, we are making masks mostly for a local clinic. And together, as of today, we have donated 500 masks to that clinic, in addition to other ones that we've given out to friends and family. So I'm really excited about those numbers, and I am looking forward to making more of them. So yeah, that's what I am gonna do tonight. I forgot to get my rulers down. Let me grab those. I have cracked several rulers over the years by stepping on them, so I've learned my lesson, and I keep my rulers hanging on the wall on a couple of nails so that they don't get stepped on by me or by one of my kids. Probably by me is most likely. Okay, so like I said, I just grabbed this fabric out of the wash. I got it washed up and dried, and I have it folded the way that it was when it came off of the bolt. And then I'm going to try to bring the other end over and lay it down with it so I can cut through all the layers at one time and be more efficient. Let's see if I can get all of that lined up nicely, because if it has too many wrinkles or anything in it, it's not going to work out very well. So hopefully I can get it fixed up. I'm not sure if this one's going to work. I think it's too wrinkly. For right now, I am leaving the camera more on me, but I will switch it later so that you can see more of what I'm cutting. And what I'm using to cut is 2 acrylic rulers. I have a 24-inch one here by Fiskars, and I have the 12.5-inch square by OmniGrid. I also have a Rotary Safe mat under my fabric. I have a Rotary Safe glove, because if you remember, if you've been around, I cut off part of my finger last year using a rotary cutter, so now I use a glove to be safe. And then I have my rotary cutter as well. And please ignore the background. This is the best spot I have in terms of floor space. So, you know, the background doesn't look the best, but that doesn't matter. So I'm just going to start by straightening up the end of my fabric. Give it a nice clean cut. And then I'm going to start measuring off 7.5-inch wide strips. And then after I have all my strips cut, I will then what's called subcut them down so that they end up 7.5 by 8.5 inches. I would love to know if any of you are working on projects at the same time. Let me know if the video is good tonight. It looks like the comments maybe are stuck or something. I'm not sure. I'm not seeing comments come up now, so leave me a comment really quick if you can still see the video. And of course, the fabric I start on first is the one that's giving me the most trouble in terms of getting it straight. Oh my goodness. I got one cut off of it and then I had to readjust it. Okay, good. It looks like the video is working. Awesome. Okay, putting my glove back on. Awesome. Okay, Terry said they are making scrub hats and masks. That's really awesome. I saw a tutorial. It was actually in my Sew Your Stash group that I run for some scrub hats, and I was thinking about making them, but I decided for now to stick with the masks unless I get some specific requests, because I kind of have the masks down to like a good speed and everything. But I might try making some scrub hats some other time. Yeah, Greta's been making masks for the past 3 weeks like I have. That's awesome. And Irene is crocheting tonight because she's tired of the project she was working on. That's awesome. I do that sometimes. I'll be working on one project and then just get tired of it, so I will move on to something else until I am excited about the other project again. And sorry if I keep leaning toward the camera. I have to lean forward to be able to read. Cindy said she delivered 150 masks today. That is so awesome. Great job, Cindy. That is amazing. I love hearing everything that people are doing, because obviously one of us cannot make enough for everybody. So I love hearing that other people are helping out in their area. I think that is absolutely fantastic. And by the way, at some point during this stream, I am sure you will hear my kids or, a movie or something like that. My kids are in the other room watching Avatar, I think. So, with Jeremiah, obviously. But, so yeah, you may hear them in the background at some point, but that's okay. I really should have ironed this fabric before starting, but I don't really have a space where I can iron large things, and I just didn't want to take the time to do it, so laziness won. But of course it's giving me trouble now. I should have just ironed it, but that's okay. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna give up on this fabric for now. It is giving me trouble. Okay, I'm gonna switch to chevrons. And you may notice I keep taking my Rotary Safe Glove off. That is because I have a hard time getting the fabric folded the right way when I'm wearing it, but I do put it back on before I make my cut with the rotary cutter. Just so you know, I am being safe. I even have 2 of them sitting here because I had one that my mom bought me, and I thought it was too cool to wear it for so long. Cut my finger, couldn't find this one, so my mom bought me a new one and then just like yesterday, I found the original one. So I have both of them now sitting right here. In Texas, said they delivered 350 to 4 local nursing homes. That is awesome. That is super amazing. I don't know if you're here earlier. I was saying that my friend and I have donated 500 total to a local urgent care center or urgent care clinic, and then many other ones to our friends and family as well. Tina said she advertised for fabric donations and someone gave her a pile of cotton fabric and thread today. That's awesome. I needed mailing envelopes because I'm sending some of these to friends of mine that live in other towns. So one of my friends gave me a bunch of mailing envelopes today, and another friend hooked me up with some fabric donations that they had received. So I absolutely love that people are pulling together and helping each other. It's so amazing. Danny asked where they are being sent. Mine are being sent to a local urgent care clinic. They are being used in that clinic for patients who come in and have a cough. They are giving them one of our reusable masks because they don't have any of the disposable kind that they would give people normally. And then they are encouraging people to take them home and reuse them anytime they go out. So I know exactly where mine are being used. If you don't have a place already that you know of and you want to make some and donate, you can reach out to people like groups on Facebook. There's some groups that are set up helping to connect people who are making masks with people in need of them. And you just have to try to pick a place that you think is going to use them. Okay, so I was cutting that multiple layers at a time by folding it in half the way it came off the bolt and then folding it over again. So right now I have 4 layers here, and I'm going to leave it stacked up like that when I cut it down into the 8.5 inch wide pieces. And I first cut off the selvage, and then I just go from there, getting as many pieces out of it as I can. So there we go. I cut through 4 layers at once. So that is enough for 2 masks right there in just a couple of cuts. So I like doing it that way because it saves on time and I'm able to get more cut in the same amount of time that I would be spending here otherwise. So I got another 4 there, and then I have the folded over pieces at the end that I then open up and trim down to size one at a time. Anna said that they have a city Facebook page for mask makers so they can help local people. That's great. That is so awesome that you can, they're getting people hooked up with local people who can help them out. That's awesome. Yes, I am using a different material for the front and the back. When I say that that's enough for 2 masks, what I mean is just it's enough material for 2 masks. But yeah, I mix and match them before I'm done so that the front and the back have a different fabric on each side. And then when the person receives the mask, they can decide which side they want to be for the front and which they want to be for the lining. So they may want to use the print for the outside, or they may want to keep the neutral on the outside. And then after that, they want to maintain using the same outside each time so that they're not using it one way and then switching it before washing it and contaminating their face. Yeah. Let's see, what size am I making the main body of the mask? I'm making 7.5 by 8 inches, and that is with 3 pleats. I have made some that only have 2 pleats, and when I did those, I was cutting them to 6 by 8.5 inches. Let me bring the computer down a little where you can see what I am doing. I don't know if I'll be able to read the comments as well from here, but we'll see. And also ignore the patch on my pants. I got ready to do the live stream and realized I was wearing my old pants that are patched with polka dot fabric, so please ignore that. So you can see I'm doing the 2 ruler method where I measure out the 8.5 with this ruler, and then I'm butting this ruler up to it, removing the first one and using this one to cut. And I'm doing it that way just so that I'm not having to keep rotating the fabric around. It's just easier to get more accurate cuts. So yeah. And like I said, here's that folded bit at the edge. I'm just trimming it up, and any of the pieces that are large enough, I am saving them, and they either I'll use them for a scrappy project later, or if I need to make a smaller sized mask, I can use them for that. Yeah, I can't read the comments now. Do I make it with a pocket? No, I don't make it with a pocket because the clinic that I am making them for requested just 2 layers of cotton. They did not want anything else because they wanted to make it as easy for people to continue to use after they go home, because they're sending them home with people. So they wear them in the office if they come in with a cough, and then they send them home with it, and they ask them to reuse them and wear them if they have to go somewhere. And they wanted to make it as easy as possible. So if a filter was required or anything like that, they just felt like people would not maintain the masks and wear them because they would need to switch the filter and all that. And so they just asked for 2 layers of cotton. And so that is what I make. But obviously some hospitals and other places are requesting other things. So just make sure you check the place you're planning on donating to and see what they request and try to, you know, meet those requests as much as you possibly can, you know, so that your masks are actually used. Yeah, so Tina said she's donating to a hospital that's asking for filter pockets and the little fitted nose piece. That is Awesome. I hope they are getting what they are requesting and that they are able to use them all. If the place I was donating to was requesting that, I would definitely do it. By the way, isn't this fabric pretty? It's not showing up exactly on camera the way it really is, but it is a really pretty purple swirl fabric, like different shades of purple. And it's so pretty. And this came from a local viewer of mine who reached out to me last year and said she was getting rid of some of her fabric and wanted to offer it to me. And so I, of course, said yes, I could definitely use it. And I did use some of it, but I still had quite a bit of the fabric she gave me left over when all this started. So I've been using a lot of it for these masks. And she actually reached out to me last week and said that she had saw where I was using some of the fabric she'd given me for masks, and that made her really happy. So I am really glad that she doesn't mind that I'm using the fabric she gave me for masks. And yeah, I really like being able to, you know, I was blessed when I was given the fabric, and now I'm able to use the skills that I have and do something I enjoy doing to bless other people. Okay, on to, let's do this one. And if you're wondering, I sit like this on the floor every time I have fabric to cut. I sit cross-legged on the floor like this. Yeah, even when I was pregnant with my first kiddo, I made a costume when I was like 6 months pregnant, I think. And well, Jeremiah snapped a picture of me working on it, and I was sitting on the floor cutting fabric, and I shared it. And somebody complained that I shouldn't sit on the floor when I'm pregnant. And I guess they didn't realize that every single video that I film, I'm sitting on the floor when I film it. So like, I'm actually more comfortable on the floor most of the time than I am in a regular chair. So I just thought it was funny that the person griped at me for sitting on the floor, not realizing that I, you know, do it all the time. So just a funny story. Maybe it's only funny to me. I don't know. By the way, is this a good time to do a live stream? I've done some other live streams very late in the evening, and I know that time doesn't work great for everyone, but the easiest time for me to stream is after the kids are in bed. But I'm trying out doing it on Monday night because I always have a Monday night work night. It's a deal that I worked out with Jeremiah that one night a week is my night. I get to do YouTube or a sewing project or whatever I want to do. It's my night. He's in charge of the kids. They leave me alone, all that stuff. So I decided to try streaming while they are up and see how well it goes. And if it goes well this week, it might be something that I do more regularly. Maybe not every single week, but sometimes. And because I feel like this is probably a better time of day for most people than like 10:30 at night. So let me know which is better for you. Okay, so it looks like a lot of people are saying this is a good time. Obviously it is if you're here. Maybe I should ask it in another video for people who aren't on the live stream currently. I didn't think of that first. Miranda, is that how it said? The dimensions I'm cutting are 7.5 by 8.5, and I believe that information along with the entire step-by-step directions are in the video description, or at least they should be. I tried to put them there. It's 8.5 by 7.5. Yeah. But that is just the measurements that I came up with. I know other people use different measurements, so feel free to do what works best for you. Yeah, I just looked at a lot of different tutorials and information I found online and just kind of like took what I felt like was the best from each and kind of threw it all together into one mask. I made a test one to try it out, and I really liked it, and so that's what I kept doing. So that's how I came up with this. I know you're good, music chick art. I was just making the corrections so they knew. But you were really close. And if you're wondering about the 2 ruler thing that I'm showing, I believe I learned this from Crafty Gemini, from some of her quilting videos, like her quilt-along videos that she's done in the past. I'm pretty sure that's where I learned it, on how to use 2 rulers so that the fabric doesn't get like flipped back and forth several times for cutting. Any tips on using the ruler, on using your cutter? Use a Rotary safe glove for sure. It's not worth a trip to the emergency room like I had last year. So if you haven't heard that story, there's a video on my channel called like how I cut off part of my finger or something like that. And yeah, that's exactly what happened. I had a really bad injury and had to go to the emergency room, and lots and lots of pain and blood and yuck, and learned my lesson. I used the Rotary safe glove. Other than that, really just practice, because I used to be terrified of the Rotary cutter. But I've just practiced using it over the years and got more and more comfortable with using it. And always have a Rotary safe mat underneath, because you don't want to ruin your floors or your table or whatever else you're using. And I prefer the big acrylic rulers. Some people use just like a yardstick, but I like the big rulers because with a yardstick, you can have it on here and it look like it's straight, but it may not be completely straight. So I just feel like the rulers set me up for the most success. I'm sorry if that scares you about my finger injury. They're very, very sharp, and you know, anything that's sharp that especially can, you know, spin and all that, you know, it can be dangerous if not used carefully. And I was not using mine carefully. I looked away and the Rotary cutter, you know, was going along and it bumped up on the ruler and hit my finger. But like I said, I wasn't being careful. I was trying to hurry and just like, oh, I'll just whip this off. And yeah, as long as you're paying more attention and just being careful, you know, you'll be fine. always close it when you're done. Like when you set it down, always close it so that you don't accidentally like hit your arm or hand on it. My mom's on. She said she is making masks with me tonight. Hi, Mom. Yeah, Tina says she remembers the picture of my finger. It was bad. Like, it was really bad. Ugh. Yuck. I don't even like thinking about it. I still don't have feeling in my nerves in that part of my finger. So I have to keep my fingernail trimmed down really short, or else it starts feeling weird because something will touch my fingernail, but like the nerves don't act right, so it feels like really strange. But I have hope that someday the nerve endings will come back, because I have a chin injury from a bike accident I had in like 9th grade. And just like last year, I finally got feeling back in my chin. So there's a chance I could sometime feel with my finger again, you know, maybe someday. Yeah, Tina says she always wears her glove. Yeah, wear it. Yeah, the hand to wear your glove on is the hand that your cutter is not in. Although one time I did push down on my rotary cutter and I had my finger on the blade. I don't even know it. Yeah, let's not talk about it. Let's change the subject before I get grossed out, okay? Sorry to anyone who's been grossed out. Whew. Yeah, Michelle said she had to get stitches in her finger. They wouldn't put stitches in mine. Well, no, sorry, I take that back. They put stitches in it, but they wouldn't put my finger back on, the piece that came off. They said it was too far gone. I didn't put it on ice quick enough. Anyway, another topic. So yeah, this fabric is one that I bought in this little discount store that I used to live, like, not like right by, but you know, it wasn't too far. And I loved going to that store. It was so cheap. The guy, he spoke mostly Spanish, so we never had a whole lot of conversation because I don't speak Spanish and he didn't speak a ton of English, but he was very, very nice. And he would give me really good deals, and I would buy all sorts of fabric from him. He would buy like bulk fabric from like a discount place in Texas, and sometimes it was like super high quality fabric, but like really big name brand fabric, but there would be like one little thing wrong with it. So either like if it was a printed on design, sometimes it might be just like slightly off printed, or maybe it wasn't the exact right color or something. So sometimes that was the kind of stuff he had. And then other time it was just like overstock of, like, if another company had too much, they would sell it to him. Just like perfectly good fabric, it didn't sell at the other store, and so he would get it. And so I used to get a ton of stuff at that store. Like I said, super cheap. And unfortunately, he passed away. And when he did, the landlord had a sale trying to like sell off some of his stock to cover like the rent that he owed for the last month or whatever. And so I bought a pretty good amount of fabric then as well. But I had like chevrons in every color you could imagine from that store. I had oh, I can't even think. I I don't know, just all kinds of stuff. And he would have cotton. He would have like a lot of home decor fabric, all kinds of stuff. It was a really cool store. So now that I can't go there anymore, obviously, because he passed, like anytime I'm using a fabric that I still have left from his store, it just like brings fond memories back to me. And I forget, I think like this fabric was probably like $2.50 a yard or something like that. And I don't think I ever paid anything more than $5 at his store. It was super cool. Okay, now I have this bear printed fabric, and this was sent to me actually when I was pregnant with my first daughter, and from a viewer who had several like kid printed fabrics or baby printed fabrics. I think this is that's where it's from, and this was one of the fabrics, and I haven't used it yet, so I thought I would go ahead and use it. And since the masks are double-sided, if the person that receives it is not into the bear fabric, they can use whatever fabric is on the other side. Yeah, Irene said it's nice to remember those who blessed us. Yes, definitely. Back when that man was running his store, I definitely did not have much money to spend on fabric, and so I am very grateful for all of the discount fabric I got from him, because that is what kept me supplied in fabric for a long time. And I forgot to fold this one over. I could be cutting more layers right now, but I forgot to fold it over. And I've already evened up the end, so I'm not going to bother now. Are these selvages zigzagged? I serged the cut edges so that it wouldn't fray when I put it in the wash. And then on some of these, it looks like it's serged on nearly every side. That's because it's like fabric that I've kind of cut into for other projects. But no, I don't serge the selvage edges because those won't come apart in the wash. But the cut edges I serge, then I throw it in the wash on like a regular wash cycle with regular laundry soap. And then I just cut off those selvage edges to straighten up the end before I start cutting into the fabric. So let me know if you want me to leave the camera down here so you can see what I'm cutting, or if you would rather see my face and where I can see the comments better. Let me know which angle you prefer, because I don't know which one is better. Tina says she rarely buys at a fabric store, yard sales, thrifting, etc., although right now it isn't possible. That is awesome. I have found so many good deals at thrift stores. There was one summer when I first started going to this thrift store that had a half price day, and I would only go on half price day. And one year, or mostly one summer, they got tons and tons of fabric donated. And so every week I would go, I would find just yards and yards and yards. Like, there was one fabric, there was like 7 yards of it in one continuous piece, and I got it for like $3.50. And then like the next week I would go and find 2 other fabrics that had several yards for like $2 each, and it was crazy. And I got so much fabric that way, like not cotton fabric, but like some of it was an unbleached muslin. There was some like stretch velvet fabric. There was all kinds of stuff. And I could not believe like how much quantity of fabric I was getting for so little price. It was so amazing. And then after a while, it just like ran out and nobody was donating fabric anymore. And I was like, oh man, I really enjoyed that. Yeah, all the thrift stores are closed in California. Yeah, definitely. Our thrift stores here locally, most of them are closed. I know of one that has managed to stay open, but it's because they offer clothing vouchers to like a women's shelter, and so that's how they are like considered an essential business. But all the other ones that I know are currently closed. Okay, I am putting the camera back up on my face so I don't have to hunch over to read the comments now. Yeah, Michelle says she buys fabric from thrift stores and yard sales as well, and just washes it before she uses it. Yeah, that's what I do. I buy it from the thrift store and I just wash it up. And you know, I mean, I started out using sheets and curtains and stuff as fabric, like secondhand stuff, because I couldn't afford actual fabric. And so I mean, to me it's the same thing. If I can wash it, it's good enough. And actually, some of the fabric that I washed up today is from sheets. I have this floral one right here. I have this teal one that is left from making my daughter's flower princess costume for Halloween. And then I have a striped sheet over here. And because I'm running low on like neutral fabrics, so I thought I would wash those up and use them, because I actually I think it was my mom was telling me about a study someone did or whatever, that with like vintage linens, and they worked better than most current cotton fabric for masks because they were more tightly woven. So as long as they're like still good quality, they were just as good, if not better, than current cotton fabric, like the average cotton fabric that's on the market. So yeah, I washed them up, and I'm going to use some of that for the non-pattern side of some of these masks that I'm making. Greta said, am I going to make a mask tonight? I am not tonight. I am doing things assembly line style. So today's task is cutting fabric, and then tomorrow and the next day and probably the next day will be sewing. So like tomorrow I will sew all the long edges and flip and press. The next day I will sew the pleats. The day after that, I will sew the ties onto them. And I do it that way because it is the most time efficient. So I know it's not as exciting just seeing me cut fabric, but the last 2 live streams I did were while I was sewing. And then I also have a sew and chat video from a couple weeks ago that where I show start to finish the entire process. So you can check out those videos if you want to see like every step of making the mask. I agree, Irene. I have been wearing my mask when I go out. The only places I have gone are the post office, and then I have gone to a couple people's houses. I have not gone in, but like I've dropped off and picked up things from their porch, mask supplies and that sort of thing. And then that's really the only places I've gone. And I've seen people without masks. I've seen people with masks. I've seen people with gloves not using them correctly because they're touching every single thing with the same gloves, and that annoys me, but whatever. But yeah, so anytime I have to go out, I'm definitely wearing my mask, and I wish everyone else would wear theirs as well. Music Chick Art said she's using old t-shirts for the linings, for the insides of her mask. That's awesome. Am I making my own binding? No, I'm not. I am using this binding that I have purchased off of Amazon because it is 1,000 times faster than making my own. I was getting really bad back pain ironing my own ties, so I bought these instead. Sorry. I can grab the link really fast for this if you want to see more info on it. Hospitals in the UK are not accepting handmade masks. I totally understand that. My masks that I'm making are not going to a hospital. They are going to an urgent care clinic, which is a little bit different. And then also to just like family and friends to wear to like the grocery store and that sort of thing when they do have to go out. But here is the affiliate link for the binding that I am using on my mask. An affiliate link means that if you use the link to purchase something, I get like a very small percentage for referring you to that product. And that just goes back into buying more supplies to do this. I lost my water. There it is. Yeah, anyway, so that's what I'm using for the ties on the mask. It comes in 55-yard rolls, and I get 55 ties, like 55 pieces from each one, and 2 pieces are used per mask, if that makes sense. So yeah, I was making the ties at first, but it was using more yardage because I could get 22 strips from 1 yard. So that was 1 less yard that I had to use for masks. And then obviously all that time to cut and iron all of it. And I just couldn't do it anymore. So I started buying the bias binding, and I love it. Yeah, some people are using grosgrain ribbon. I don't have enough ribbon at all to use ribbon for mine. I don't have, I have quite a bit of ribbon, it feels like, but not in long lengths at all. So if you do have that, awesome. Definitely use what you have first is, you know, obviously the best plan, but yeah. I'm definitely using fabric and things that I have first. And then a friend of mine did reach out to me today. Someone had donated a lot of fabric to her. So she's passing some of that along to me. So my dad picked it up today. And then I have to figure out a way to get it from my dad. But yeah, I really appreciate it because I am running low on larger cuts of cotton fabric because, like I said, the bigger the cut of fabric is, the more efficient it is to cut. And I am running low on that. So I'm super glad that I'm going to be able to use some of that donation. Excuse me. Oh, good idea to use jelly rolls for the ties. That's a really good idea. Yeah, Paula, I agree. Matt, the gloves are an interesting thing because, like, they're really great if used correctly, but if not used correctly, they're just, you know, spreading things everywhere. So, yeah. I will just be glad when all of this is in the past and we can just look back at this time and think, whew, that was quite the experience and we made it through, you know. I'll be happy when that time comes, for sure. Well, hello, Jake. Thank you for stopping by and subscribing. Mary, you are right. I need to get my Boxcar Children books. Mom, if you are still watching, bring my Boxcar Children books when we meet up. I need books like 2, 3, 4. Oh, I'm sorry that they don't ship to Canada. Aw, I'm sorry about that. I never think to look about options for other countries because until all of this happened, I actually rarely purchase things online. Like, I know we live in 2020 and all of that, but I just don't buy much online. I prefer to go in person and see exactly what I'm getting, exactly the quality, not pay for shipping, you know, like all of that. But since all this started, I have placed like 9 orders online, which is insane because I normally don't even order probably half that many things in a year from like online purchases. But I've made 3 bias binding orders. I think it was just 3 or 4. And then I bought some stuff for my daughter's birthday. She has a birthday in less than 2 weeks. And I bought a game for my kids, like a card game and some different stuff. And like, I feel bad for my mail carrier because she's having to deliver more packages than normal for me. But I mean, it's keeping me from me from going out. I don't know. Like, I feel bad for all the mail carriers right now because I know they're so busy. And then, of course, I've mailed several packages as well, which I mail packages, you know, fairly frequently. Yeah, I forgot where I was going with that. Sorry. My daughter's playing the maracas in the other room. If you can hear that. I don't even mind. Okay, so the fabric I'm working on right now is this, I think it's called a blender fabric, which means like it blends in well with like large prints and other things. It's a tone-on-tone blue, like vine kind of print. I had meant to cut this out and use it the last time around, but it was stuck underneath something, and so I missed using it. But I'm glad I found it because a lot of people have been asking for more neutral designs or like something that could work well for a guy. And so I know it still has like the vine print on it, but at least it's navy. So yeah, I think that would be a good option for some of the guys that need masks who don't want, you know, like florals in your face kind of stuff. So after the pandemic ends, you'll be getting a new sewing machine. Yeah. I was telling my mom just today that the machine I'm borrowing from her definitely will need a tune-up after all of this. The tension is just a smidge wonky, and I've tried adjusting it a little bit, but I don't know, it's just not quite fixing it. It's not like bad enough that it's not usable or anything. It's like you can just barely see one of the threads pulling through on the other side, like just a little bit. You know, and then of course, like the manual for a vintage machine says like every 8 hours of sewing, make sure to oil all the oil spots in the machine. And I'm just like, yeah, I haven't been doing that. So, when all this is done, that poor machine is going to need a little bit of love and care. I have been changing my needle regularly, though. I definitely have been doing that because I can tell when it starts getting a little dull, and sometimes it like shreds the thread a little bit. So I've been swapping the needle out. Thankfully, I have quite a few spare needles because I had found them on sale for like 3 or 4 packs of needles for 99 cents at the store Tuesday morning several years back. And so I like stocked up and bought a ton of them then. So I've just been using my stash of needles, and I'm so glad I have them. Oh, I remember where I was going to go with the shipping thing, maybe? No, never mind. I don't remember. Make a mask with lips on it. Yeah, that is funny. I saw a video on Facebook where it was a mask that had lips on it. It was really cute. Irene says she made her 26-year-old son a mask with sock monkeys on it, and he was not amused. Oh, like a mask, like a almost Mr. Potato Head kind of mask, like where you can swap out the features on the face. That'd be really cute. I'm not sure how practical it'd be though, like, because you'd want to make it still comfortable to like breathe through, you know. One crafty Capricorn said they've never changed needles so much. Oh my goodness, I feel you. I've never changed sewing machine needles so much either. It is absolutely insane. Okay, this fabric, I like showing the fabrics and telling the stories. This fabric also came from that fabric store I was talking about earlier where the owner has since passed away, but I would get really good deals on things, and I got this for like super cheap. And then afterwards I was like, why did I buy this? I don't even like lime green, and like part of the design is lime green, the rest of it's like seafoam green, and I'm like, I don't even like those colors. Why did I buy this? It's a little bit of a big print for a mask, but I'm hoping that once it's cut up it'll just kind of like look like random shapes, and you won't even really notice that there's like a house on it or whatever. We can see. If it looks bad, people can use it for the reverse side. Ooh, that does sound bad. It doesn't have the option to put the feed dogs down, and it doesn't, so it makes, yeah, I don't know. Does not sound very good. Oh no, I like green. I just don't like lime green. And that's like what this is. And so I'm like, why did I buy this? No, I love like Kelly green, cerulean, and a nice shade of purple. So all like the jewel tones. Those are my favorite colors. Do I have a video on how to oil the machine? I do not. I'm sorry. I actually put off oiling my machine until my mom comes to town, and then I get my mom to do it for me. That's how I roll. It doesn't sew. It makes thread blobs, and it's not the tension. Yeah, I don't know. That's not good. Are ballpoint needles only for knits? I think so. I think they are supposed to only be used for stretch fabrics because the ballpoint of the needle allows the needle to slip in between the fibers instead of piercing the fibers, which would weaken the stretch fabric, if that makes sense. Thank you. Gia said she likes my rainbow sweater. I like it too. I got it at Walmart. Moms are good that way. I agree. I did a video just a couple months ago about, back in January, I think, called Out with the Old, In with the Older. And it was about switching from using my brown vintage sewing machine to the black Singer that I've been using now. And it was because my old machine that I called Frankie, the motor was going out and it was sparking, and it was bad news. And I would have to like turn the hand wheel while pushing the presser foot while pressing the foot pedal in order to get the machine to work. And so it needed a new motor. And I, of course, waited until my mom was in town and was like, hey, Mom, you want to help me change a motor? And my mom helped me change the motor because she's awesome. And she likes tinkering around with the machines and stuff. I don't enjoy that. I'm afraid that I will just mess it up and it will be messed up forever. So anytime I need my machine oiled or the motor changed or anything like that, I just wait until my mom's in town and have my mom help me. Because I am obviously a well-adjusted mid-30-year-old adult. I'm just kidding. We have fun doing things like that together. So it's nice to have someone who you're close to who is interested in the same things as yourself. And that is my mom. We are both obviously very interested in sewing and thrifting and things like that. So we have a lot of fun doing those things together. So here's how these pieces are turning out. It's going to be a pretty ugly mask, but oh well. Ella said that she recently got an old Singer, and where can you get accessories for them? I have happened on to lots of accessories at thrift stores and garage sales. But you can also find them on like eBay. Like there's a ton of them on eBay, and you can buy new parts for them as well. So like if you need a certain kind of presser foot or something, you can go on like Amazon or whatever and just buy a new one. Or you can hunt around for the old ones, whichever way you want to go around it. Is my husband doing well? Yes, he is. He is in the other room watching the kids, and he is working from home this past week. So we're trying to figure out how to do all of that and keep the kids occupied when he needs to be on a video call, because we don't have any sort of office or anything like that. So he's in the living room. We're kind of all in the living room. So it's been a process of trying to figure out, but so far it's going pretty good. So yeah, he's doing good. The kids are doing good. I wanted to show this fabric. It is the cutest thing in the world. Somebody sent this to me a few years back, and it's really cute. I also have it with a blue background, which I'm saving. And I wanted to show the selvage because I love fabric companies that do this, where they put the selvage instead of just like the little circles on the edges, or like this one has boxes on the edges showing all the colors used in the fabric. This one has foxes. They put little bitty foxes with all the different colors used in here on the side, and I think that is the cutest thing in the world. Absolutely love this. Aww. I love that. Someone said that they've been watching for years, and the first project they tried to recreate was my Ninja Turtle messenger bag. Oh, I love that. Looking back, like at the time when I made that video, that was like my video that I was the most proud of out of like all of the ones I had made up until that point. I felt like I put so much work into it, and it was a more like difficult project than any of the other ones. And then I look back now and I'm like, oh, that video was so rough, you know? So, which I mean, just goes to show that my skills have improved to where I can look back at that and see how much I've grown since then, both as a YouTuber and as a sewer. But yeah, I still have fond memories for that one because it was definitely one that I was very proud of when I originally made it. How many masks am I cutting out? I'm going to pretty much cut this pile of fabric, and then however many that is however many I will make. Yes, you can put new parts on old machines. The motor that we've swapped out on my sewing machine is a brand new motor. The presser feet that I have like a walking foot that is a brand new one. I have a 1/4 inch foot that is a new foot, and then I have like the feet that come with the machine originally, you know. So you can mix and match as long as you buy the right kind, like low shank, high shank, slant shank, you know. As long as you buy the right thing, you should be fine. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Paula. She said she worked at Costco and got laid off last Saturday. I am so sorry to hear that. I hope that when this is all over, they will either hire you back or you will find something even better. They said use the edging for the straps. I would do that, but the way I'm cutting the strips, I'm cutting the selvage like right through the selvage along with it. And then I'm just using my bias binding for the straps. So there it goes. I cut it. Sorry. Aww. Chris said they're making 2 memory bears for their co-workers' kids. He passed away from the virus. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. That is really sad, but I am glad that you are going to make something special for his kids. I think that's really sweet. I have 1 strip of the fox fabric that's not wide enough. So I will save this in my scrap bin, and I'll make something else from it later. So yeah, all these pieces that are not large enough to make a mask for, I'm putting them in my scrap pile, and then when all this is over, I need to make some really scrappy stuff from all these pieces, and it'll be kind of fun because they'll all be leftovers from masks, so it'll be a good way to remember everything that I used to make all of these masks. Yes, Ella said that I was right when I said the older machines sew faster. They definitely do. Obviously, like industrial machines today sew really fast, but yeah, the vintage machines sew way faster than a regular modern sewing machine. Anytime I have to use a modern machine for like buttonholes or zigzags or something, I'm just like, I feel tortured by how long this is taking because I like to sew super, super fast. How many masks have I made and donated? I have made 381, and I have about 46 sitting over there waiting for people to claim them. And all the rest have been donated. Between myself and my friend who's making for the same clinic that I'm making for, we have sent a total of 500 to the urgent care clinic and then passed out several more to our family and friends locally and around the state. So yeah, a lot. Oh, good. Paula said that even though she got laid off, she's still doing good. She's in school and has low rent. So that's awesome. I'm glad that you're still doing good. And yeah, I hope school goes well and you get a great job as a medical coder when all this is done. Tina says she has a Singer 301A. Can she use universal needles? Yeah, I have a Singer 201-2, and I am using universal needles on it. So, and no problem yet. Shadow, please. Sorry, I'm sitting further back than normal, so I'm having trouble reading the names. But they said, with all the masks I've made, have I made a dent in my fabric? Yes, I have. Prior to this cutting session, I had used about 50 yards of fabric. So that is a ton. And I didn't even calculate how much I had before I started cutting tonight. So I have used up most of the fabric that I've been given by other people. And now I'm moving on to fabric that I bought myself. The reason I'm using my fabric that I bought myself last is because I don't buy larger quantities of fabric typically. Unless it's for like a costume, I usually don't buy but like maybe a half yard or a yard. And so I started with my larger amounts of fabric first to be the most efficient, and then as I go along I'm going to shorter and shorter cuts of fabric because it does slow me down to work with smaller amounts at a time, if that makes sense. This fabric is really interesting. It is this really pretty Southwest print, and one end of the fabric is actually much darker than the other end, even though it's brand new fabric. Well, it's brand new in the sense it is several years old, like many, many years old, but it's never been used. But this was given to me by a friend when his mother passed away almost 10 years ago. She had a lot of fabric in her stash, and it was passed on to me to use, and I am very happy to be using it on these masks. Kim said, did I see her question above? No, I had not seen it. Okay, let's see. She asked, what size would I cut for a 2.5 or 3-year-old and elastic? I have not used any elastic, so I have no opinions on elastic. As for size for a 2.5 or 3-year-old, be very cautious and make sure they are always being supervised around the mask because the ties can be dangerous. But as for size, I have a 3, almost 4-year-old, and I used a 5.5 by 7.25 inch pieces of fabric for making her a mask. She asked for a mask so she could play doctor, and that's the size I used. So I hope that helps. Do I have any serger recommendations? I have a Juki. M0654DE, and I love it. I got my serger like 2 years ago, I think. I had some hand-me-down sergers prior to that and had terrible luck with them. So I finally just splurged and bought myself a new one, and I absolutely love it. Paula wants to know when I will be live again. I have no idea. Unfortunately, I can't plan ahead on these live streams because they all depend on what I happen to be doing, what Jeremiah's schedule is, what the kids are doing. So I don't usually know more than like an hour or two ahead of time before I go live. Sorry. I am trying to post on Facebook as soon as I know that I'll be going live. So make sure you're following me on Facebook with the like show first notification on or whatever that is. And you'll have a better chance of knowing about a live stream ahead of time. I agree. I prefer non-digital machines. Okay, this is going to sound bad because I'm on a live stream and everything. I hate technology. I hate having to learn technology and all of that. And there's so many things. Like, I could run a computer in 2 seconds if I tried. And so when a sewing machine has a computer, that makes me nervous. I just want a motor that runs, and I want it to go and go fast. So I actually hate computerized machines. And I know that's not good to say, but I do. Have I figured out how many hours I've put into these masks? Oh, I have no idea. Forever. So many hours. And someone asked how long I have been on. I've been on 1 hour and 22 minutes. What size sewing machine needle am I using? I am using a 14 right now. Mara made a teddy bear last weekend. That's awesome. Did you enjoy making it? I'm glad I am not the only one who doesn't care for computerized machines. Rena asked if she has some thick fabric like denim, could she make a 1-layer mask? I mean, I don't know how effective it would be, but I mean, anything is going to be more effective than nothing, but is it as good as a multi-layer mask? I really don't know. Sorry. Okay, bye, Paula. Okay, I got all of the Southwest type fabric cut. And this one is so soft. It is 100% cotton, but it is softer than a lot of the other fabrics. So that's really cool. Okay, which one do I want to do now? I think I will do this burgundy fabric because it will be a nice like opposite side for some of these prints. Shadow Please asked how it is where I live. Can you find things at the grocery store? Is it still hard to find certain things? I have not been to the grocery store in almost a month. Over a month? Over a month, I think. My husband has gone to the store. He has to get out. He has a weekly appointment that he has to go to. And so he's been going to the grocery store when we need it. And I send my list with him. And he's been able to find pretty much everything on the list. There is certain things at certain stores that are hard. Like certain stores are low on flour, but like the other store will have it. Toilet paper is definitely still low. He was able to get like a generic brand pack of toilet paper. I'm fairly picky when it comes to toilet paper. I want my quilted northern. But like for the most part, oh, and there's like limits on canned stuff. So one store had where you couldn't buy more than 4 cans of anything. So like if you wanted tuna and green beans, you could only get like 2 cans of tuna and 2 cans of green beans. So it added up to only 4 cans, which sounds like a really small amount to me because like I want people to buy enough that they don't have to go to the store for at least a week. And like I can use more than 4 cans of food in one batch of taco soup, you know? So like 4 does not seem like much to me. But I mean, it's not my decision to make. But for the most part, most things are in, you know, there's a fine supply of, there's no Lysol wipes. He couldn't find any of those. But everything else is pretty fine. Ella said her Walmart is out of Great Value brand whole milk. Okay. He hasn't had any problem getting milk. And, like, one store was out of eggs one week, but he went to another one and found eggs. Like, I think it really just depends on the store you're at. But, like, we have 2 grocery stores that are literally next door to each other. So if one doesn't have something, it's not hard to run right over to the other one, you know. Could you make a mask from socks? I actually saw someone do that. I don't think I would wear a mask made out of socks. Just it seems kind of weird. Even if they're washed, it just seems kind of weird. But if that's all you have, go for it. Disruptive Girl is the designated shopper for their family, and the store by their house would only let her buy a dozen eggs. But at Walmart, they let her buy a 60 count. That's cool. Yeah, he did say one of the grocery stores had a limit of 2 packs of eggs. And so I was like, did you get like 2 1 dozen packs and 2 18 count packs? But he said it was 2 no matter what size. So like you could get 2 18 counts or you could get 2 12 counts, but you could not get like 2 of each. since I'm like mentioning where every fabric came from, this fabric and most of the solid fabrics that I have were donated by a friend of mine. He is in the Star Wars group that we're a part of, and anytime he sees the fabric at Walmart go on clearance, he buys it up for making projects, mostly for donating to different things. And he knew I was making masks and I'm needing fabric for like the lining side of the mask, and so he said I could have it. And so that was super nice of him. He donated this to me for making masks, and I have used almost all that he donated to me already, and it has been hugely helpful. So I am very grateful that I have such generous friends. If you weren't on here earlier, I mentioned just today I went and picked up a box full of envelopes for mailing out masks because I was making my own envelopes out of brown packaging paper, which is something I've shown before on this channel, like several years ago. But I was running out of the packing paper, so I needed another option. And so I was given a whole bunch of envelopes, and that was awesome. I've been given fabric by 2 different friends. Well, now 3 different friends. And then I've also been given a gift card as well as a few financial donations to cover the cost of the bias binding. And I am just so appreciative of all of those. There's even been 2 or 3 viewers who donated on my PayPal, and thank you so very much if you're one of those people. I really appreciate it. It helps to cover the cost of the bias binding as well as the shipping when I have to mail out masks to people I can't deliver to in person. So thank you so much. It is things like that that keep me, with the supplies and everything I need to continue to make these and to actually get them to the people who need them. Besides the ones that we're donating to the local clinic. Those are being dropped off by my friend. But to anyone outside of the clinic that I donate to, many of them are getting mailed. Ella said that she needs solids for men. For some reason, they don't like the florals. I know, right? I had like 4 or 5 guys needing masks this last week, and like all of them asked for solid fabrics. Who would have thought? And or they were like, can I get like a solid, like a navy or a black? And I'm like, I don't have that. I had to explain to them, I'm like, I am not going out and purchasing fabric. I am using fabric that I already owned because I don't want to, A, spend money on lots of fabric, and B, if I order it online, it could take a long time to get here, or it could be like really terrible quality and I wouldn't know until it arrived. So for now, I'm working with what I have, and so I think a lot of people didn't really realize that. They thought I was like, had purchased fabric for this, but I'm like, you get what you get. Like I'm giving out masks for free. I'm not charging anyone for them. But because of that, they kind of get what they get on fabric and things. Obviously I do my best. Like, I'm not going to give all my guy friends pink masks if they don't like pink. But, if at the time all I have is like I don't know, brown on brown or whatever, that's what they're getting. So, you know what I mean. Patterns are much more fun. I agree. You want some camo and you want it fast. I love that. Yeah, you never really think about like what variety or lack thereof is in your stash until suddenly, you know, all these other people with different tastes than you are needing something from you. And it's like, yeah, I didn't have that. Yes, safety is better than pride. I agree. I have the best friends. I know a ton of people through, there's a group called Tulsa YouTubers that I'm a part of. And just through like the cosplay community, I know a ton of people, and there are so many of them who are making masks and giving them away, and it is amazing. I love seeing all my friends come out and do, you know, selfless things, and we're all working together toward the same goal and all that. Like, it is so awesome. I absolutely love it. Janet said someone near her is selling masks for $5. I have seen people sell them for $15. I have a friend who's selling them, but for everyone that he sells, he also donates one. So like that I get, and he is buying fabric to make them. So people are getting to pick out the fabric they want, and when they buy one, he's making one to donate and all that. So like I get that. But yeah, I don't feel right selling them. Like, I just wouldn't feel right doing that because I'm getting to sit at home safe while I'm doing this. And not everyone who needs it can afford it. And so it's not my choice to decide, well, you don't have the money, you can't have one. You know, I'm like, everyone needs one. If they're going places, I want to give them one, whether they have the money or not. Like, I want to give them away. So that's what I'm doing. Wow. Kathy saw some on Etsy for $45. That is crazy. I want to know what that mask is made out of to make it worth $45. It is just about bedtime for my kids. So here in just a little bit, I will be ending the live stream. I have a little bit longer, but just so you know, not a whole lot longer. Because when it's bedtime, they'll be barging in here and going, it's time to read our story. It's time to read our Bible book. Aw, thank you. Someone said I'm the best. Thank you. Can I recommend a rotary cutter? I like this one. Actually, a really, really sweet viewer who I have talked to many times sent this to me. It is the Ulfa 45 millimeter. I think it is linked in the video description box, I think. And I can pop up a link in the comments as well. I have it in my Amazon affiliate store. along with some of the other items that I recommend. I really like this one because it has the quick release for the blade. So it is safer changing the blade than the normal rotary cutters where you have to like unscrew the little thing and pop the blade off and stuff. This one is a lot easier and safer. So I like this one. And I really recommend, no matter what brand you get, I recommend getting the 45 millimeter. I just think it is a really good size. They have smaller sizes, and then they have up to a 60 millimeter, I believe. But I just feel like this is a really good size for a lot of different kind of projects. Evelyn is trading mass for other items. I love that idea. I absolutely love the idea of bartering. And I think we should bring bartering back. I read a ton of historical fiction, and I absolutely love that people used to get by with so little money because they didn't need money. They would barter for things. They would trade their fresh eggs for whatever they needed, and they would fresh milk or chickens or whatever. You would help someone else bring in their wheat for the year and in exchange get something else. I think that is such an amazing skill and something that as a society we have lost. And so I absolutely love that I have seen people bartering during all of this. Like, I actually kind of sort of bartered with a friend. She gave me some fabric to use, and in exchange I gave her and her family masks, and I also gave them some of my pumpkin seed or my pumpkin plants that had come up in my compost. So she came over and dug up some of my pumpkin plants. Like, we stayed a long ways apart, and so she got plants for her garden and masks, and I got fabric to use to make more masks, and it was awesome. I was like, who needs money? I'm just kidding. Obviously we need money to pay our bills, but like, it was a lot of fun bartering with a friend and putting other kinds of values on things besides actual dollar amounts. That's awesome. One Crafty Capricorn is doing the donate one for everyone that's purchased. I think that's awesome. That is a great way to be able to still donate, even if you can't afford to just flat out donate everything. I think that's awesome. You can get blades for the 45 millimeter at Harbor Freight, Tina said. I have not looked for the blades at Harbor Freight. I will have to check them out. Beverly said she's new to my video and she loves them and that I'm a good teacher. Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's the only way some people are making it these days, with bartering. And I agree. Some people are definitely having to resort to finding ways to do things that are not the typical way. And I'm glad that people are finding ways to make it work. Traded masks for Lysol spray. Oh, they didn't go for it? Oh, lame. I would have. I need Lysol spray. Is anyone using t-shirt yarn instead of bias tape? I have seen people on some Facebook groups that I'm a part of who are using cut up t-shirts for the ties, and they said they're really comfortable. I haven't tried it myself though. can I recommend a kind of wire for the nose? If you check out my last video that I posted, I showed how I'm doing the nose piece, and I'm using pipe cleaners that are folded over, and I slide them into a casing made out of a ribbon so that the pipe cleaner can be removed for washing and then put back in after it's washed. Oh, I'm so bad with names. Shawin305. I am so sorry if I said your name wrong, but thank you so much for the super chat. That is so sweet of you. I really, really appreciate it. And it will definitely be going toward buying more supplies so that I can make more masks. So thank you so much for your super chat. DJ said they bought some of their fabric for masks from Joann's at $1.80 a yard. Oh my goodness. Were they running a sale because people are making masks, or was it just on sale for that low? How did you get it that cheap? I'm interested in knowing. Someone said they're using soft wire garden ties from Tractor Supply for the nose piece, and it won't rust in the washing. That's awesome. The reason I'm using pipe cleaners is just because I already had them, and so it wasn't something that I was having to go to the store and purchase. So it was a remnant with a 2-yard minimum. Huh. Okay. Super cool. Shadow Please asked if we had a good Easter. We did. We had the Easter Bunny came and visited and hid eggs in the kids' bedroom and brought a few goodies in their baskets. Then we did our church online videos, and then we hid eggs several more times. The kids wanted to hide eggs, and then we would hide eggs for them and all that. And it was a lot of fun. We got to even hide eggs outside, even though it had rained off and on. And then the last time we hid eggs outside, all of a sudden the cold front hit that we were expecting. And so we were like, ooh, we got to hunt these eggs fast and get back inside. But yeah, we had a lot of fun, and I hope everyone else had a good Easter as well. Kathy said the mask makes her glasses fog up. Yes, if you're having problems with that, you might try adding the fitted nose like I showed in my last video, because it can definitely help with preventing the foggy glasses. Excuse me. How many masks have I cut out now? Give me just a second and I will show you the pile. Yeah, I know that Joann's is giving mask kits away. Ours, however, could not keep up with the demand. There were so many people volunteering to make masks that they could not cut the supplies quick enough to pass them out, and they had run out of elastic and all sorts of stuff, so that was a no-go in our area. Okay, here's how much I have cut out tonight. So this is probably enough for between 80 and 100 masks. The next thing I do is I try to match them up as much as I can, like find two fabrics that coordinate, and I match them up right sides together, and I stack them so that they are going one this way, one that way, one this way, one that way, until all of them are matched up and they are ready for me to assembly line sew them together. Someone asks, they're looking for a better sewing machine that's affordable and can serge. I don't know of a regular sewing machine that can serge as well. I think you'll have to buy two different machines. But I don't have any machine recommendations because I don't actually buy brand new machines. I just sew with vintage machines. So yeah, I don't really know what is like out there that's good. I'm sorry. DJ said they hate cutting the fabric. Yeah, I used to hate cutting fabric, but really, when I'm doing the same thing over and over and over again, and I can either talk to someone or watch a movie or listen to an audiobook or something, I really don't mind it because it's the same thing over and over again. But if I was having to cut out different measurements each time, you better believe I would have messed up by now. Any tips for making bias tape? For the masks, where I made my own ties, they weren't actually bias. They were just, I cut a yard of fabric and folded it in half so that it was, from the cut edge to the fold was 18 inches. And then I just cut 2-inch strip after 2-inch strip after 2-inch strip and took it over to my iron, and I ironed in each side about a 1/2 inch, and then I folded it in half and ironed it again. I showed it all in my sew and chat video from a few weeks ago, and that's like the best way to make the ties that I know of, but it will take you forever at the iron unless you're good with a bias tape maker, which I am not. Yeah, it's a lot of ironing, which is why I'm buying the rolls of bias tape now, because to me it is worth it to spend the money and have pre-made bias binding, and I can sew it way faster than I can pressing my own ties and sewing those. Yeah, I actually have bias tape makers, but I am no good at them. I've tried them several times, and I cannot figure out what I'm doing wrong because they just don't work well for me, and I don't know why, so I gave up on them. I'm really good at eyeballing a 1/2 inch, so like I feel like I can just eyeball it better than I can struggle with a bias tape maker. Okay, this is a vintage sheet that I have, and funny enough, I had this fabric and I had the sheet, and then I used it to make a skirt. I think I sold that skirt when I used to have an Etsy store. It was a reversible wrap skirt. And then I thought I had enough of it to make another skirt, and I didn't. And years and years later, I came across the same exact sheet at a thrift store, so I bought it. And then now I think I'm going to cut it up and make masks. So, yeah. Yes, people are saying they've never seen rolls of bias tape like this. Yeah, it's hard to come by rolls of bias tape. These are 55 yards. I put the link to the Amazon listing for it in the chat. And yeah, it's polyester. It's not cotton. I know a lot of people prefer cotton. I prefer cotton, but when it comes down to buying this for $20 or buying a 3-yard pack of cotton bias binding for like $5, I'd much rather buy this. Am I still collecting vintage fabrics? I never really collected vintage fabrics. I collected vintage sheets, like linens specifically. But I don't really as much anymore, just because I don't really find that many anymore. I used to have a few certain stores that I went to all the time where I got like really good deals on them. But it became like so like trendy to buy vintage sheets and cut them up and whatever that I lost my corner on the market, I guess. This is a fabric that I bought at Walmart at the end of last fall, I believe. So this is one of my newer fabrics, and I think it was on clearance. I can't remember for sure. And I bought like 3 yards of it because I was going to I was going to make a shirt from a vintage pattern, but I did not get around to doing that. And now I'm going to cut it up. Woohoo. It is double fold, extra wide double fold bias tape. So it is, the sides are turned in, then it's folded in half, and when it's completely folded and everything like that, it is a 1/2 inch wide. Is it easy to make masks because they're new to hand sewing and want to make one? Hand sewing a mask? I don't know how difficult it would be. I don't hand sew a lot of things. I would say the style I'm making would probably be harder to hand sew. There are probably easier options out there. So you might just want to look up like a hand sewn mask option and see what all is out there to see if there's another style that would be easier. Okay, I think my kids are starting to get ready for bed, so we only have a couple more minutes. Thank you, DJ. I am a multitasker at heart. I am always doing something else while I sew or while I cut. I always have a movie or an audiobook or something. So I am pretty good at looking at one thing and doing another and all of that. Awesome. Angela said she bought bias tape when I did my last live video, and it said it wouldn't arrive until the 20th, and it already came in the mail. That is awesome. You will have to let me know how you like using it, because I am loving using mine. And the way I do it is I put the roll on the floor. I know that seems weird, but I put the roll on the floor and I measure out 1 yard of it and I cut it. And then I use that one that I've already cut to measure out the next one and the next one, the next one. And I do until I have like a handful of them. And then I put all of them but one down, and then I measure out the next one. Because like it's easier to just cut them all at once and then have them sitting there in a pile. And by putting the roll in the floor, it allows it to kind of like bop around and unwind on its own. Whereas if I put it on the table, it would like roll off the table or flip over or whatever. So yeah, it's kind of a weird system, but it works. Where can you get your rotary blades sharpened? There are sharpeners that you can buy. I've never tried one, but they are available. But honestly, I just use mine until I can't use them, like until it's taking more than one pass to cut through the fabric. And then I switch it out for a new one. I don't play around with dull blades because if your blade is dull, you have to make more passes over your fabric and you tend to get more sloppy at it. And that is when mistakes will happen. And injuries happen. Oh, someone has the same floral fabric from Walmart. Yay! Yeah, I was looking at it today and I was holding it up and I was like, should I save this fabric? Should I still make a shirt out of it? You know, since that's what I bought it for. And I held it up and I was like, that's a whole lot of orange and floral. Like, it's too small of scale, I think, and too bold of color. So I don't think I even would have liked it if I had made a shirt out of it. So I'm glad I bought it because I'm using it now. But I'm also glad that I never got around to making the shirt I had intended on making because I don't think I would have liked it. Tina said that she has a rotary blade sharpener and has never used it. I apparently owned one at one point. I had bought some stuff in like a box at a yard sale or something, and there was this thing in it. I had no idea what it was. And I thought it was like a broken part off of something else. And apparently it was a rotary sharpener. And I like donated it back to a thrift store. And then later found out what it was. And my mom was like, what? You got rid of that? And I was like, sorry. So live and learn. Yes, you definitely need a bigger cutting mat. The mat I am using is 18 by 24, and I feel like that is a really good size because it's big enough to cut fabric that's folded in half like it comes off the bolt. But it's not so big that I can't like reach to the other side of it easily, you know. Someone said, why is everyone using bias tape? I use the bias tape because I use it to bind the sides of the mask and the ties in one continuous strip. And I just feel like that's a really good option. I get a really nice finished look. And I don't know, I just like it. Carolyn said she just got here. I am cutting out fabric to make masks. I have cut this much so far since I started the stream 2 hours ago. I am making the majority of my masks to donate to a local urgent care center, and they are giving them out to patients that visit the urgent care center, and then they are allowed to take them home and rewash and continue wearing them. And then the other masks that I make are going to like friends and family who need them for wearing to work or wearing to the grocery store or whatever their need is. And I make mine assembly line style. So today I'm doing all the cutting. Tomorrow I will do the sewing on the long edges and then turn and press. The next day I will pleat them all, and the day after I will sew the ties on all of them. Okay, that is all I am cutting tonight. I did not get quite as much done as I would have liked, but really, I got plenty done. I got enough cut to make about 100 masks, is what I would guess. And I will mix and match all of these so that there is a different print on each side of the mask. Let me scooch closer to the camera. So, yeah, I got a pretty good variety cut. I try to match up coordinating fabrics, so like you know, something with blue on each side or whatever, you know. And yeah, so really happy with how much I got done, and I hope you all enjoyed the live stream tonight. I am trying to do more live streams because I know that I'm not able to make as many regular videos right now because of how much time I'm spending on making the masks. But a live stream kind of lets you still hang out with me and still get a glimpse of what I'm working on, what I'm doing. So I hope you enjoy them. Let me know by hitting the like button and leaving a comment on here to let me know if you want to see more streams like this one. I obviously cannot stream like every time I'm sewing or every day or anything like that, but when I can, I'm trying to hop on and do a live stream and yeah, just kind of let you all in on what I'm working on. So yeah, if you did not catch everything earlier, I have made 381 masks so far and just cut the pieces for about 100 more. My friend and I have donated 500 masks so far to a local urgent care clinic, as well as many more to other family and friends around the state of Oklahoma. And they're all being given out for free because we are just happy to have a way to help people while we are staying safe at home with our families. We're using mostly our own supplies. Some things have been donated, which is super nice. And then, of course, I'm buying the ties. Yeah, so powering through my fabric stash, and it feels really good to be putting this fabric that's been around for a long time to good use. So Dorothy asked if there's a live stream of me sewing the masks. About 3 or 4 weeks ago, I shared a video that's called Sew and Chat, and in that video it was not a live, but it's about an hour long. And I filmed every step of the process from cutting the fabric to the final stitch. So if you want to see making the mask, that would be the video to look for. It is, let me see if I can get the link for you. Like I said, I showed every step of the way in that one. And it's a good place to start. It does feel a lot like a live because it was a very chatty video. And then this is my third live stream since then, and I've shown different steps of the process in each one. Since I sew them assembly line style, I don't like sit down and sew one mask and then sit down and sew another mask and then sew another one. Instead, I spend one day doing one task and the next day doing the next task until an entire batch of them is done. So for 3 or 4 days in a row, I won't get any mask all the way completed. And then on that last day, I get like, you know, anywhere from 50 to 100 completed. And so, you know, that is what I've found to be the most efficient way to make them. So yeah. And yeah, I think that is it for tonight. My kids need to get in bed, and I can hear they're still in there watching a movie because it's keeping them quiet. So I need to get off here so that they can get ready for bed, because I need to go to bed too. So I hope you all enjoyed this live stream. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me. Yeah, you all are awesome, and I hope you are staying safe and having a wonderful day. Happy sewing.